Welcome back to Longplays by Freeplay. Today we're talking about Ataxx. Ataxx is one of the few board games in an arcade cabinet. It is a very unique game that really has had no exact equivalent in the physical space and has seen very little presence outside of the arcade. This game was developed by two guys in England, and it was originally called Infection. And they developed it as a prototype for the Amiga and a few other systems, Commodore, I believe. And eventually it got bought by Virgin and then licensed to Leland, who released it in the arcades in the US. Now, the way the game works, it's a little bit like Othello in the sense that you're trying to flip over your opponent's colors to your sides, but instead of trying to surround them, you're just trying to get your pieces next to them, and that will convert them to your color. You have two options when you move. You can select your piece, and you can clone it to an adjacent square, or you can jump a square, but if you jump a square, you will not clone the piece. So if I go here, I get an extra piece. They jumped, so they left that space behind and didn't clone their piece. When you jump, you can jump a space. The important thing that most people don't realize is that when you jump, you can do an L shape. So you can jump diagonally, you can jump orthogonally, but you can also jump a square like this, like moving a knight in a chess. Now, if I move here, I take all the opponent's colors, globs is what they're called. I take all the opponent's globs that are next to that space. So that was a bad move for Colony because they just lost all those pieces. This game has an awesome soundtrack, which is basically just this huge bass thumping heartbeat sound. It has really great sound effects, all these great slime sounds. It has these really great AI players who make these hilarious faces when they get happy that they take a bunch of your pieces, or when they get angry that they lost pieces. And I just completely trashed him. He has no pieces left. Normally you play until the board is full, and whoever has the most squares is the winner. And you can get different setups that have little stone tiles on them and you can't move there, and that changes up how the game plays. Now, if you want to learn to be better at Ataxx, there's really 4 important things to learn. You want to start off by learning to figure out the move that you want to make that is the safest while also taking the most pieces. You don't want to just always go for the move that will take the most of the opponent's globs, because then they might counterattack you and you might end up with less than you had before. You have to think a couple of moves ahead and think about what will be the safest space. So, for example, I have a few options here. I could move here and take that piece, but then a Drool Man will be able to just clone their piece there and take those 2 pieces back, and we'll be in a really good defensive position. If I jump here though, I take these 2 pieces, and Drool Man doesn't really have a good way to counter that and take all those pieces back. At most, Drool Man could have jumped there and taken 2 pieces, and that would have been about an equivalent exchange. And sometimes the best move is the one that just protects you. So I could go here and take that piece, and that's pretty safe because they'd be too far away to jump over there and take all 3 pieces back. And I think that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. The next thing you want to do is you want to learn how to give up on areas. Sometimes there'll be a lot of back and forth, and you'll end up fighting with a certain area with the other player. And at a certain point, you just have no moves that are particularly safe, but neither does the opponent. And you have to learn to just give up on that area and move to somewhere else. So I could go here and take those two, but then Jewel Man can jump there and just take all three of those pieces back. But that would leave him open to me jumping there. So I think that's actually a pretty good move. See, we could keep fighting here by me jumping there, but then Jewel Man just jumps there. And I think at this point, any move that Jewel Man does, I could probably counter pretty well. So what I may want to do is just give up on that area for now and move over to here and just jump there. And now I have a stronger position here. Which leads me to the third thing you want to learn. After you learn how to think ahead a couple turns, and after you learn how to give up on certain areas when you need to, the third thing you want to look at is leaving ambush points. So sometimes it's good to just take a spot and leave a piece there and just kind of ignore it. And then later when you're fighting with an opponent over one part of the board, they'll kind of forget that you have pieces over there. And then you can use those pieces to try to come in from behind them, and they'll be like, oh crap, I forgot you even had stuff there. There's a lot of maps with just middle areas. See, that was kind of bad because he could have jumped in there, but he didn't do it because he's not the smartest. So even though this doesn't take me any pieces, it's better for me to move here, and then I prevent them from doing that. But yes, leaving ambush points is really good. There's certain maps where there are middle squares that don't take very much but are strategically advantageous for being an ambush point for later in the game. We're opening up right now, so there's people coming in, so you might hear some noise in the background. Although maybe not, because, you know, Ataxx's awesome thumping soundtrack might drown him out. Now, one thing Ataxx does have is a timer, and it works much like a chess timer, where it only counts down when it's your turn. But if that timer runs out, you lose. Now, you can just hit the join button to add more time because it's on free play. Although, it's good if you only do that when you actually need the time. Because if you just add in a bunch of time and then you walk away, then, you know, nobody else gets to play. So at this point, this is not really... If I jump away from here, the Jewel Man can't counterattack and take very much back. So this particular piece is not doing much just if I just leave it there, but I can use it as a good jumping point. Because at most, Jewel Man can take one back. I think I just want to go there and see what he does. So if I go here, Jewel Man can jump there and take 3 from me, but then I can move there and take 6. So he didn't take the bait. Now I have to worry about getting blocked off, because if Jewel Man goes there and there, then I can't make any more moves in this direction. So I'm going to have to make a disadvantageous jump just so I make sure I still have access to the left side of the board. And which one is least bad? So I could jump there, take 3, but then Jewel Man goes there, takes some back, and then maybe we fight over here, but I'm already ahead. If I go here, Jewel Man's forced to go there and I just win. So, after you learn those first 3 tricks, there is a final trick to learn. And it's the last one to learn because it's the hardest to pull off. And it really only works against human opponents, with the exception of Mushman, who we're about to play against. And that's learning how to goad the opponent. So what you can do is you can deliberately leave yourself open to a strong attack if you're familiar enough with your opponent and you think that they'll go for it. Because in the long term, it's possible that them going for that will be worse for them. So you could trick them into taking what looks like a good move, but in actuality lets you counterattack really hard and win the game. Obviously that's really risky because you might spend a turn setting that up and they might not go for it. Or they might figure out how to get out of your trap in a way that you didn't realize. Now the AIs, when you're selecting an AI to play against, are listed in difficulty order. So at the bottom you had Colony, who we played first. Then it goes up to Jewel Man, Mushman's in the middle, then it's Gorgon, and then Cephalo Man is the hardest. Now the AIs also have different personalities. Mushman, you will learn, is really aggressive and likes to make very risky jumps. So the trick there is to just entice Mushman into making jumps that are actually very bad for him. See, so he made that jump there, and now we're just going to end up fighting over here. And he's just going to keep doing that jump, and I'm just going to keep taking those 3 spaces back. Now, this has worked out in his advantage because on this particular map there's a stone tile there, so I can't really take all 3 of those squares back. See, that's an example of an ambush point. I wasn't paying attention, and he just went in a different direction. He just gave up on this area, went in a different direction, and almost took that whole corner from me. If you take away somebody's entire corner, which is typically what you're going for when you take a really aggressive strategy, then they lose a lot of strategic ability because they lose an entire half of the map. So I need to make sure I don't let them just take this. I may lose this one. That's really bad. And now I have to make a jump down to here, and pretty much any jump I make down here is going to end up bad for me in the long run. I think least bad is this one. Because if I jump from here, he just clones into that space, takes a lot of stuff back. So he has to jump, and then I have to jump. If there's a move you can make, you have to make it. Yeah, I lost by 3. And that's Ataxx. You can enter in your initials and your birth date. It will track your wins and losses. There's 2 enemy AIs above that, Gorgon and Cephaloman. Cephaloman's supposed to be the hardest, but when you're really good at the game, Cephaloman is actually easier than Gorgon because you know that Cephaloman is always going to make the best move, which makes it easier to predict what Cephaloman is going to do. Gorgon is about as good as Cephaloman, but less predictable. You can also play the game 2-player, and that's basically the best way to play it. We'll see if we can beat Mushman this time. If you are playing the game 2-player, one of the cool things is that if the person who loses continues, they get to choose what map they will use next. So you'll be able to use the trackball to switch around what configuration of stone tiles you're going to use. That was a really bad move because I just let him take a split. When you take one of those T-shapes, there's no way for the opponent to immediately take back everything you just took. See, in that particular situation, I knew he would make that jump. And then me jumping over there actually ended up better for me. So this looks like a really juicy jump. But how bad is the counterattack? I don't think it's too bad. He'll have to jump, and he won't get as many globs as I'm getting. I miscounted. It basically ended up about the same. So I'm stuck being forced to make a jump. If I jump here, I get those 3, then he just takes all of that. If I jump here, he at least can't clone into that spot, so he has to make a jump if he wants to take that spot. That was real bad. I had the opportunity for a comeback. I screwed up pretty early, and I didn't manage the comeback. Let's go ahead and take a risk here, and we're going to try a really aggressive strategy. And that paid off. So they've lost a corner already. We're kind of spread out, but at this point, Droolman can only make moves from this part of the map. We got to make sure he doesn't do the same to us, though. Which he did. So basically we just traded corners. So our aggressive strategy ended up not super great. I kind of let him take one of my corners away. But we can still pull this off. Especially if he does moves like that. All right, and that's Ataxx. That is this week's Long Play with Free Play. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this. And come check out Ataxx at Free Play Richardson and to see the game of the week.